That's where AI biases can be very harmful, right? Because it might start taking decisions and eliminating people, that shouldn't be eliminated because it has a lot of biases built in. But at the same time, this company is operating in Europe, so they need to abide to the AI Digital Act. And one of the use cases where the EU prohibits companies of using AIs in HR tasks. I haven't found anything in their documentation that addresses that. But if they talk about AI governance and risk management, so I believe they are aware of that, and hopefully their tools are sustainable in that sense. If they are not, they're going to be heavily fined. Today, we want to shine a light on a wave of innovation rising quietly across Europe. While the world is busy watching Silicon Valley, there's a new wave of AI companies pushing boundaries, driving innovation, and transforming industries, but without the press or the hype machines that are often surrounds their American counterparts. So in these episodes, we're putting the spotlight where it belongs on the bold, brilliant, and often overlooked innovators who are shaping the global AI game from the heart of Europe. I'm Daniel,
Matheus.
and this is the Human AI Experience. So we're gonna talk today about five companies, five European companies, AI companies. They are revolutionizing the market. So let's walk through a few of these AI company examples. Let's. I think we need to start talking about Synthesia. So Synthesia is now UK's most valuable generative AI media company and the world's wide market leader in enterprise AI video with 6,000 customers. So I guess you've seen some of these super realistic presenteers that seem human, but they are basically AI generated, and that's Synthesia working. So they recently closed like 100 million Series D investment, which is quite a significant amount and a vote of confidence from investors, right? That this is not a hype. And Synthesia has already a footprint in over 120 countries, and they help brands create localized content, training videos, and corporate messaging without, you know, all the costs and the attached to the production of a video, hiring actors, you know, there's a lot of costs related to that. And there's are also specialized companies that actually sell that. So their aim is to capitalize on that market.
So yeah, they have like 230 AI avatars, which is quite impressive, and they look like super realistic. So I can see the movements that they're doing like are quite realistic. So it's pretty much impressive that they are actually doing this. Maybe that's the new way of creating content, like for many reasons, not only companies but creators.
So I've been following their work for quite some time, and they started initially by focusing on these training videos where you have this avatar. Sometimes it's somebody from the company that actually has a digital version of that is addressing some uh, parts of the training. But now they're also expanding a bit more to B2C, where you can, I think they're targeting the influencer market because you can basically create digital influencers with that. And I think their last campaign or their last marketing effort was focused on AI influencers. So they're expanding because they realize that that market is huge, and they can grow and capitalize a lot around that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And can you take your own video, your own avatar? So can I create myself on this tool, or is it more focused on their own avatars? Do you know about that?
Yes, you can. You can basically create your own digital version of yourself as an AI avatar, and like AI avatars in general can also speak in different languages, right? So you don't have to be confined to your native language, for example. So it, it creates a lot of flexibilities, right? So you can target localized content by doing that.
That's amazing. I feel that, yeah, we're getting there, man. You're really getting there. I'm pretty much
It's almost a bit
surprised of this
scary.
company. Yeah, it's a bit scary, but at the same time, it's kind of it's exciting to see, this these new ways of doing things, especially content, because content is kind of so local. I think we talked a little bit about that. Like Brazilians are super creative, and they really have really good content, but it's only in Portuguese, so it stays in the country. So this is one of my things. Why not building something in English or in other languages that you can spread your word, all over the world? And I feel the other countries had the same limitations, let's say. So with this kind of tools, you can reach beyond. You can reach.
I think that's a problem that has already been solved, and I think it's only going to get easier. Like, for
Yeah,
example, there are some companies already investing in glasses that can subtitle in real time other persons speaking a different language.
yeah, that's crazy.
There's some reports that Apple is actually trying to improve the next generation of the AirPods. Probably will do simultaneously translation in real time, which is insane. So I think we're kind of reaching a level where at some point it won't matter if you know a language or not. We're both we will be able to understand if you're using a device that does this kind of translation. So I think that is insane. This is crazy.
Yeah,
We're gonna get there really, really soon.
yeah,
So the second company to highlight in this top five European AI companies is Mistral. Mistral is basically based in Paris, so it's a French company, and it quickly became Europe's stronger answer to OpenAI and Anthropic. So the company was established by three experienced professionals: Arthur Mensch, which was formerly from Google DeepMind, then Guilherme Lamp and Timothy Lacroix. They both work at Meta AI. So they got together and they created Mistral a couple of years ago. And their vision was to create an European open source company to rival the American giants, right? Like OpenAI, Google DeepMind, and so on. So they started with that mission. And what I think it's really interesting in regards to Mistral is that how quickly they grew, right? While most companies focus on enterprise and consumer, Mistral is bridging both worlds. So they're offering some of their models in open source, but they also have their B2B and enterprise offerings. The company raised like 150 million euros in a record-breaking seed round, and now it's evaluated in 6 billion. So it's quite a like a unicorn, let's say. And they're heavily focused on transparency. So they want to focus on privacy, give people's access to their models, right? You can download their open source models, and they resonate strongly with a European regulation and the cultural mindset, let's say. And recently, they launched like a rival to ChatGPT, which is called Lechette.
yeah,
And in 2 weeks, they got 1 million downloads. So
yeah. It's kind of funny because I tested, and I asked the Glitchat, what differentiate you from the other models, and what they said is like the chat is designed to be concise and efficient in its response, and it's really is. It's really fast. Uh, it's almost instantaneously the answers, which for me it differentiates from ChatGPT, for example, where you have like kind of like 2 seconds, to have the answer. The chat is kind of like straightforward, and then it says like it's focused on providing accurate and relevant information without unnecessary verbosity, which DeepSeek does, Like they said to you, I'm thinking about this, and then they give you an answer. So it kind of provides like straightforward answer too. So interesting. And I ask about the what are the strengths that they have, and one of the things is that they prioritize the privacy and the don't storage personal data, which is one of the GDPRs, the privacy data law from Europe. So they kind of be following this model, as you mentioned before, about the layout.
Yeah, they
And
have to follow GDPR, right? Because they're based in
yeah,
Europe, and every company that operates in Europe at a certain extent has to adhere to GDPR, which is the privacy laws, right? And now,
yeah,
of course, the EU AI Act that is also enforcing companies that use AI to follow the regulation here as well. You mentioned that they are focused to be straightforward and provide concise answers, right? And that I mean, if you're looking for efficiency, that's really good, because ChatGPT and Claude, they both have a tendency of writing a lot and unnecessarily gibberish in the middle of. So they're just sometimes you just want one phrase as an answer, and then they tend to write two paragraphs to say the same shit. So
yeah,
I think that's the problem. So very often when you're prompting to these tools, I usually write in my prompt, give me a straightforward and short answer. Otherwise, they just keep talking and talking. So that I think that's a problem with some of the American models, let's say.
yeah. And I feel that, as I said, like sometimes you just want like, and you really prompt that. For example, I want a text with like just one phrase, and then they give you like two paragraphs on ChatGPT. So you need to reinforce that until they shrink all the text that they wrote. We should do really well, but sometimes you need to be hitting on that spot. And then so yeah.
Yeah, and then just one more curiosity before we go to the third company is that Mistral is has a special model tailored to Arabic language. It's called
Mm.
Mistral Saba. I think they're the only one that has like a special model to that is trained with Arabic language, which is quite interesting. I thought it was really cool. So the third company that we want to highlight today is Stability AI, the creative freedom through open source. So they are basically based in London, and they are the folks behind Stable Diffusion. I'm pretty sure most of you heard of Stable Diffusion. When Midjourney and DALI came along, Stable Diffusion was the response to that, because it wasn't a closed platform, is an open source uh, model. So their mission wanted to set apart focus on that. So they're not looking into big corporations. They were looking to democratize image generation. And their tools were allowing artists, designers, developers, and creators in all levels to generate high quality images, by using prompts basically. So they have a strong open source community that drives innovation, and are focused. They're both basically focusing on graphic design and game development. And now, most recently, they're exploring audio and video generation and even 3D generation. While Midjourney and DALI continues working in closed systems. So stability focus on transparency, decentralization, and uh, promoting the open source model globally.
Actually, I'm a huge fan of Stable Diffusion. I have used it. That was the first touch, let's say, that I have had programming or having something in my computer. Talking about AI, of course. So I downloaded Stable Diffusion. I tried and even installed it in a company that I was working for, and it's really impressive the results. And the community is amazing because you can access a website that you can download so many different models, and for different purpose. For example, you can focus only in architecture, then you have a model specifically for architecture, another one for urban design, another one for, I don't know, animes, or another one for any kind of things that you can imagine. So I love the community, I love the product, I try it, and I think that's the one platform that you can use and be so focused and getting better and better, because you can create your own model. So you can put your LoRa inside of Stable Diffusion, create your own designs based on your previous work. So keeping your footprint, So for me, that's one of the tools that I'm really excited about it.
And I guess a lot of architectural companies are using Stable Diffusion, right, as their base model, open source model, and they build on top of that by having all their work trained in a LoRa, let's say, on top of that, and then so they can, basically replicate their style, but using AI for conceptual work.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That was the first kickstarted with this with Stable Diffusion, and then now they're downloading Flux and implementing Flux on Stable Diffusion. So they're just improving, because it's an open source model, so you can just top up other technologies on that. So that's amazing. So that's the one that I'm kind of really excited about it. In this.
Yeah, this is something that it doesn't seem very obvious, right? But I've been doing this a lot lately, which is basically using more than one tool to complement each other. And what do I say by that? You just mentioned that people are using Stable Diffusion and they're also using Flux simultaneously. So they basically use them to complement each other. So I've been using this also in two ways. I'm using ChatGPT to generate the bulk of a lot of stuff that I need to generate in terms of text or posts and so stuff. And then I'm running that through Claude to make it more creative and a bit more, to improve a little bit uh, the results, because Claude seems to be better at writing in a more humanistic way. And also, it seems to be more creative in the way that it actually outputs text than ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a little bit too standardized. And the same thing I'm also doing with images. So for me, when I generate things on Midjourney, I usually ran through Crea AI, which is the company behind Flux, because they have a image scaler, like an image enhancer in there that I can take the Midjourney images and enhance them in Crea, and the results are great. Like it really, really makes it uh, better results. So it's the combination now of different tools that are, improving their output. So
Yeah, and even when they said like AI agents, they recommend you to use different models. So you run one that is gonna be the mind behind the work, and then it's gonna lead the other models. So it's kind of yeah, it's a new way of using AI. So I feel that the way that combining other AIs and all the models and leaving one to lead might be the next way of using AI. For so that's so let's go to the next one.
yeah, so the fourth company, it was one that I didn't know, to be honest. Like, and now I think I'm going to start using it more and more. It's called DeepL, and it's basically a translation, AI powered translation company, and they're based in Germany, in Cologne, basically. So they were founded in 2017, and the company basically has earned a reputation from producing translations that are not just accurate but incredibly nuanced. So they often outperform, Google Translate and even ChatGPT in quality. So what is their secret sauce in there is that they have a proprietary neural network architecture, that where they run their large language models. They are focused on context aware translations. That it's quite interesting. And Their latest benchmarks from last year basically outperformed ChatGPT 4, Google, and even Microsoft in translating tasks. And they support basically 32 languages at the moment, right? And 82% of language service providers use them as their translation tool, which is quite cool. They have 100,000 customers worldwide, including Coursera, Zendesk. So they're, I didn't know that this company was powering a lot of those business under the hood. So it's quite interesting to figure that out.
And it's interesting because they have like this kind of real-time voice translations. So probably if you're doing a course, for example, in Coursera or in you can translate it automatically, for any language, which is really interesting. I think that's one of the things that we talked about, democratizing knowledge. So that's one way of doing it. So it's quite interesting the products that they're selling and how they're using it.
Yeah, and then let's say if you're looking for an alternative to Google Translate, which I think most people use it because it's convenient, it's Google, it's free. They also run a freemium model in their website that you can basically translate documents, or, of course, there's a limitation, but it's pretty good. So I would encourage people to try it out because it's a good alternative to Google, for example, if you want to stop, you know, or reduce your dependence on the big tech.
And what I've seen is that you can choose the language. For example, if I want to have a more formal language in my translations, you can just put it there now. For example, business or even professional corporations and other kind of translations, which is kind of interesting to have too, because we know that an academic language is different from a professional language, so they're totally different worlds. So it's interesting to have a tool that already considers that. So,
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool. I'm gonna definitely start using them more. Okay, moving on to the last company that we want to highlight here today, and then we have a normal honorable mention. But I'm gonna get to that after talking about this company. This is called Tech. This is a company called TechWolf. So TechWolf is based in Belgium and is redefining how companies understand and manage workforce skills. So it's founded in 2018, and these days is it became a leader in AI powered talent management. So they're basically helping business shift from traditional job roles to a skill first approach. What does that mean? So they're building an AI infrastructure layer that can identify employees' skills based on their digital interactions. So that eliminates the need for manual skills assessment. So typical skills assessments that managers have to do, this company claims that they can enable that in a much smarter and frictionless way. And so that allows managers to take decisions based on their employees' skills in real time, and they also generate AI insights of that. So their technology is basically grounded in natural language processing models that were developed by researchers in Cambridge University. And these models infer skills from tasks, emails, documents, and other internal systems, basically building rich data sets that supports everything from internal mobility to learning and development. So TechWolf's platform now basically powers HR decision making in a lot of major organizations across the globe, like United Airlines, MetLife, Workday, just to name a few. And they were one of the first companies to receive an ISO 42101 certification, which is a benchmark for AI governance and risk management, which is quite cool.
yeah, I think we all have used these kind of tools because we already apply for many different jobs, and stuff like that. So the only concern that I have is that these models can be a little biased, and select only some specific type of person, this kind of But in general, I think it's a super efficient way of evaluating, without, as you mentioned, having an interview with the HR or a manager, and taking the time of a high costly employee to evaluate, a person. So it makes sense to have this kind of tools to improve the whole HR system.
Yeah, it's just super relevant concern because that's where AI biases can be very harmful, right? Because it might start taking decisions and eliminating people, that shouldn't be eliminated because it has a lot of biases built in. But at the same time, this company is operating in Europe, so they need to abide to the AI Digital Act. And one of the use cases where the EU prohibits companies of using AIs in HR tasks. So it's interesting. I haven't found anything in their documentation that addresses that. But if they talk about AI governance and risk management, so I believe they are aware of that, and hopefully their tools are sustainable in that sense. If they are not, they're going to be heavily fined. But it's still interesting because I didn't know about this company before. So we covered the top five AI European companies, but I have one more that I would like to call it as a honorable mention. While not a traditional AI company, 1X Technologies, which was formerly known as Hallo-D Robotics, it's a powerful example of how AI is actually accelerating progresses in robotics. So this company was founded in Moss in Norway, and 1X is basically leading the new frontier in consumer-focused humanoid robots. And they're blending artificial intelligence use with advanced hardware to bring basically science fiction visions closer to reality. If you look at their videos, it's just crazy to see these robots. So AI, of course, is playing a key role in not necessarily in the product itself, but it's catalyzing and driving the evolution of humanoid robots forward. I think a lot of those things were not possible before the LLMs, because that basically is helping these robots to have a better understanding of the world around them, because they analyze and then they picture what's around them, and then they can kind of understand because they were built by those powerful AI models.
Yeah, and what I have seen is that the first one of the first videos, they look like being in wheels, so the robots were kind of not fully autonomous. And now I see that there's an evolution on their models where it's kind of a walking as a human being. So they are evolving, with their models, which is kind of interesting, because I feel that the other models that I have seen, like the other robots that I have seen from China and even from US, they are mostly focusing on the humanoids, and so they are kind of simulating the same movements, same things that we do. And I think that they are following the same pathway, which is quite interesting. So they're continuing to be competitive against the other models.
Yeah, and basically last year they launched Neo Beta, which by the way, their focus on is inside your home. A lot of other companies are focused on replacing workers on factories and using these humanoid robots to perform human tasks in and automate some a lot of industrial work. They are focused on almost like uh, you know having a humanoid robot in your home helping with the household tasks, but at the same time also helping elderly people. So instead of nurses, for example, today, so their focus is a little bit different. And it if you see the robot, it looks like it's wearing this like funny uh, stuffed clothing, probably because if you bump into it, it's not going to harm you. So it's not like these metallic robots that we've seen around, like from Boston Robotics, for example. So it's really interesting. And this year they basically update their model, and it's called Neo Gamma. And we're gonna put the video for that model in the show notes because it's quite crazy. It's basically the robot is there cleaning the windows, doing the laundry, vacuum cleaning. It's just it's crazy. It's worth checking it out. It's amazing how these humanoid robots are evolving so fast these days.
Yeah, this is the new cleaning robot, which is way more efficient than that ones that is generally a circle. Then they clean the
Yeah, the
house.
Roombas.
Yeah, the Roombas. So it's pretty much interesting, like to see that.
Yeah, we're gonna link all of these companies in the show notes if you want to check them out. And that's it for today. I hope this episode gives you a little bit of clarity on where Europe stands in AI innovation these days, because it's been really hard to. Uh, at least I haven't seen all of these companies being highlighted, because it's really hard to pass the hype of all the American companies and also all the new models that are coming from China. So I hope at least this gives you a little bit of an overview of where AI stands in the AI race. That's it for today. See you next week. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. It's free and helps us a lot. This way, it can help us also reach new listeners. Oh, and if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform to stay up to date on our latest episodes. If you have any questions for us, reach out to us at hello@humanaixp.com or connect with us on Instagram. Thanks for listening. See you next week.